Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast, episode 74. I'm your host and Perrysburg resident, Kim Newlove. This is an informational podcast for prospective, new, and current Perrysburg, Ohio residents. We talk about what's in Perrysburg and why people like to live here. Our website is perrysburgpodcast.com. We are talking about bars and breweries today. What a fun topic. This is part 6 of 7 in the food and drink series here on the Perrysburg Podcast. This episode comes out on Friday, December 20th, 2024. This is a time when family and friends are getting together for the winter holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, you name it. People are getting together, and school kids of all ages are home for winter break, even the ones who are 21 and looking to have a good time. This is a great time to talk about bars and all the like for a number of reasons. People who haven't seen one another for a while are looking for places to gather. A bar or a restaurant is a neutral location and usually a good place to meet up, right? Many people get gift cards and cash as holiday gifts, and they're looking forward to spending their money right away. And also, parents are looking for a break from their kids around the holidays. For so many reasons, I put this particular episode about bars and breweries in late December. If you're finding this episode in 2025 after the holidays, it's still a great episode, so keep listening. In this episode, I'll talk about bars in Perrysburg first, then I'll share my interview with Cathy Miller from Destination Toledo. We'll talk about the Christmas ale adventure that's going on here in Northwest Ohio and how Perrysburg's part of it. And then we'll end the episode with some safe driving tips from Deputy Chief Chris Sargent from the City of Perrysburg's Police Division. Let's begin. As we get started, I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to the Perrysburg, Ohio Facebook group. They recommended a number of bars in Perrysburg. As always, thank you for your input. The top 15 recommendations in no particular order are: number 1, Madhouse Bar and Grill, which is near First Solar's Cedar Park campus near 795 and Oregon Road. Apparently, they have trivia and other fun shenanigans. The name again is Madhouse Bar and Grill. Number 2, a lot of people agree that Swig has a good vibe. That's SWIG, Swig. I would agree with that. Swig has a good vibe. Number 3 on the list is Fifth Street Pub. Fifth Street Pub is always a good choice, and it is very popular. If you need a second place to park because their parking lot is full, I recommend behind the Schaller Memorial Building. You can either access it from 5th Street or, well, I guess that would be West Indiana Avenue. There you go, Fifth Street Pub. Number 4 is Stella's. Stella's is in historic downtown Perrysburg. Number 5 is Rosaria's. Rosaria's is also in historic downtown Perrysburg. I believe that's at the corner of Walnut and 3rd. The next 3 on my list are in the Levis Commons area. Number 6 is Claude's Prime Seafood. Apparently this bar has a great layout and an upscale vibe. I have not been inside Claude's yet, but I would like to try it. Number 7 is Benchmark. I have been there, like Benchmark. Number 8 is Nagoya. Someone in the group said that they recently got a very strong drink there, and I take that as a good thing. Hope you enjoyed that. Number 9 is Inside the Five. Inside the Five. Number 10 is Lupita's. Lupita's has good margaritas. It's one of our Mexican restaurants here in Perrysburg. There's also tequila and El Vaquero. So next on the list is number 11, El Vaquero. Apparently, El Vaquero has a good bartender named Mary. Shout out to Mary. Somebody loves you, so they mentioned you in the Perrysburg, Ohio Facebook group. And apparently, El Vaquero has a happy hour from 3 to 5. That's one thing about all of these bars and restaurants. If they have a happy hour and you are available for it, you can get yourself a good deal on some drinks. Let's move on to number 12. Number 12 is Local Roots on Elm Street. That was mentioned as a good spot for smoothies, non-alcoholic smoothies. Number 13, I'm going to add this one to the list myself, It is Get Healthy Nutrition, and that's inside Country Charm Plaza. They are known for their smoothies, energy drinks, post-workout drinks, and protein snacks. They have non-alcoholic drinks at Get Healthy Nutrition. Number 14 is Bar Louie. Bar Louie is also at Levis Commons. And number 15 is a new one to me anyways. It is Tailgaters, which is inside Harbor Town Plaza. I think this one used to be Jed's. All right, and now for the honorable mentions. These are bars that were mentioned in the Perrysburg, Ohio Facebook group that are not located here in Perrysburg. They are Dale's in Maumee, The Village Idiot, also in Maumee, Reset, which is in Rossford, and Danny's, which is in Rossford. Now, somebody from the Perrysburg Facebook group told me that they recently had polka music at Danny's. I have not been to Danny's yet. I've seen advertisements for it. I've driven past it. I think they have a mural on the outside of the building. It's very recognizable. So, if they've got polka music, I think I need to go because I am German and Swiss, and I come from Pemberville, which is the sister city to Rüdinghausen, Deutschland, Rüdinghausen, Germany. So you better believe I like me some polka. So thanks for that tip. That ends my list of bars mentioned in the Perrysburg, Ohio Facebook group. As you can tell, there are a number of bars and restaurants in and around Perrysburg. I didn't name all of them, not even close. But the point is, if you need a smoothie or an adult beverage, you will find what you need here in Perrysburg. What is my favorite bar, you might be wondering? My favorite bar closed, unfortunately. I used to love going to Max and Irma's at Levis Commons. There was a great bartender there. He's what made that bar my favorite. Max and Irma's is a chain restaurant, so you're probably thinking, yeah, what's so great about that? But it was the bartender. His name was Jamie, and he had an amazing memory. My family liked to sit at the bar for dinner, and Jamie would come over, take our order, not write anything down, and serve our food and drinks without any mistakes. And the alcoholic beverages were great. He did a great job as a bartender, as a server, and we miss him. If you are listening to this and you know where Jamie from Max and Irma's went, let me know. My email address is kim@perrysburgpodcast.com. Ever since Max and Irma's closed, we don't really have a favorite bar or bartender in Perrysburg anymore. But my favorite drink, as always, is an old-fashioned with Maker's Mark. I like to try the local bourbons too, but anyways, Maker's is my go-to. I also love a good amaretto sour and a brandy Alexander too. Great drinks. Old-fashioned, amaretto sour, brandy Alexander. There you go. All right, next up is my interview with Cathy Miller. Cathy is the Partnership Development Manager at Destination Toledo. Think of Destination Toledo as your tourism guide to the Toledo region. I had a lot of fun talking to Cathy. Our interview was on Tuesday, December 3rd. It happened to snow that day. Without further ado, here's our conversation. Hi, Cathy. Welcome to the Perrysburg Podcast.
Good morning, Kim. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Nothing like talking about beer on a snowy December morning. This is awesome.
I love it.
Me too. Well, I understand that the 419 Ale Trail was your brainchild, so I'd love to hear the history of it and how did this all get started?
Well, my husband and I really enjoy craft beer, and we actually will travel to try it. And when we travel a lot, and when we're out and about, we're always looking for breweries. And Northwest Ohio started getting a lot of breweries, and as they started opening up, I'm talking like 2017, 18, 19. They really started coming on in Northwest Ohio. So my thought was through Destination Toledo, I'm always thinking about promoting the area, promoting local. And I thought these are all locally owned businesses. These are all 1 or 2 person owned places, and they're startups. It's their passion. They're making this beer at home, and they think, I can make a go of this. My beer is good enough. So these people are opening these business, taking a chance. And in my Destination Toledo hat, I'm thinking, I want to help this community. And it's a passion of mine. I enjoy tasting and testing different beers. And so during COVID, hate to bring that up, but I started gathering on an Excel sheet all of the breweries in Northwest Ohio. And I just made a spreadsheet. I put everybody down, and the owners, tried to get an email address, phone number. So I had the entire list. And basically what I did, I went straight through the list, reached out to them and said, hey, I've got this idea about collectively promoting the breweries in Toledo and Northwest Ohio. And would you like to be a part of it? That's how it all started.
Awesome story.
Yeah.
I love a good list, and any story that has a list in it is good in my book. Thank you so much for sharing
lists
that.
are fun.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband's an engineer, and he loves a good spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So I think he'll like that story as well. When did this start?
So it actually kicked off in 2021. The breweries were for the most part, were super excited about it. They understand that they need help marketing, and what better way than to create a product, a way to get the word out on who they are, where they're located, what they offer. So it was kind of a no-brainer for them to be a part of it.
Okay, so 2021 it started. And
it did.
I understand that it's kind of evolved, and now it's on the Destination Toledo app as well, right? Is this the first year on the app?
It's actually been from the very beginning. We kicked off in 2021, and we're currently on round 4 here. And it always has been a mobile-based product. It is like an app. It is the same concept. The only difference is you can't find it in the App Store. So you have to, in order to become a part of it, if you want to participate and check into the breweries, then you either need to pick up a brochure at one of the participating breweries, scan the QR code, or just go to 419aletrail.com. You can sign up there and get it on your phone, and you're all set.
Sounds good. I was part of the Coffee Quest, and I think something popped up and said, would you like to be part of the 419 Ale Trail? And I'm like, heck yeah. So even though I haven't done anything with the Ale Trail yet, I have the app. Oh, sorry. I have this Destination Toledo Ale Trail thing on my phone.
The beauty of it is that you can go to as many as you like. You can stay fairly local with it if you're not a big traveler, or some people, if they're really passionate, they're going to try to do all of them or as many as they possibly can. So however you want to do it, it runs a year. So it begins in mid-June and it'll end in mid-June of 2025 before we kick off round 5. So you have a whole year. We do different promotions along the way to encourage people to get out for different reasons. So right now we're doing the Christmas Ale Adventure. It started on Black Friday.
How fun.
And, it runs through December 31st. And if you go to the pass, you get it on your phone, you can see all of the breweries that are participating and what they're offering to drink. And it's a lot of fun. It's just a fun way to get out, check in. And the cool thing is we have a little Santa Claus Christmas Ale Adventure sticker. So when you check in, you can pick up your sticker at any of the participating breweries on the 419 Ale Trail that actually have a Christmas ale. And there's a lot of them that do. And they're all listed at 419aletrail.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When I open up my smartphone, I can search for the Destination Toledo app. And then when I open that app, that's when this 419 Ale Trail pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that there's a rewards button on there. In order to get this sticker for the Coffee Quest, I think I had to go to 3 different coffee shops. Can you tell me, is there a certain number of bars that I have to go to or breweries that I have to go to in order to earn my sticker for this?
The cool thing about this is you can, with the very first one that you go to, ask for the Christmas ale sticker. And you can even show them on your phone because you can actually click through. There's a little button that you can tap on. It says free Christmas ale adventure sticker. And you can say, hey, look, I get a sticker. And then the brew tender will give you a sticker, which is great. And there's actually a general sticker, 419 Ale Trail sticker, that if you've not done the trail before and you're just signing up, say, hey, I would like my 419 Ale Trail sticker. So that's another sticker that you can get.
Hey,
So.
I like trophies. I'm all about the
we
stickers.
Like prizes, right?
Yes. Even though I'm a grown-up, I like it. Yeah. You get a prize just for showing up at the bar. I like it.
The other cool thing is that you get prizes. You get you actually gather points as you go, and there is a free T-shirt that you can earn as you go. You don't have to go to every single brewery to get a T-shirt either. So you just have to gather points. You'll see right on the mobile pass how many points you need. It actually calculates for you so you can go and check and see where you're at and how many more you have to go to get your T-shirt.
Awesome. Yeah. I think Jupe Mode did the T-shirt for the Coffee Quest. Are they doing it for the Ale Trail?
They're doing it for the 419 Ale Trail. They're a great partner of ours. So we're super excited to work with them.
I know that I think I had to go to 27 different coffee shops to earn the T-shirt, and I did not make it. But maybe I'll get this done. Wait, I have all the way. It's a challenge. Yeah, but I have all the way until June, right, to accomplish this?
You do.
There you go. I can pace myself.
And the great thing is in the winter months when there's not a lot going on, it's a good time to make a road trip on a clear day. You can hit some of the outlying breweries, but there's a lot of great breweries on it. And if you're not a beer drinker, a lot of them offer seltzers. They offer other things to drink because they're smart enough to know as business people that, hey, we got to offer something because I may love craft beer, but my husband may not. There's actually a couple of Christmas seltzers on the Christmas Ale Adventure too.
Very nice. I looked at the website and I was looking at all the different names of the Christmas ales. There's some pretty creative ones. I think I saw a non-denominational Christmas ale, a non-denominational ale at Twin Oast, which I think is out in Catawba, right?
It is.
Yeah.
If you've not been out there now, that's a destination brewery. It's beautiful. Obviously, right now, you wouldn't be enjoying the lawn and the fire pits and the bands that they have in the summer, but it's a wonderful brewery. It's a great road trip.
And it's right on the lake, right? Right on Lake Erie.
It is. It's the address is Port Clinton, but they all call it Catawba Island out there. So,
Cathy, thank you so much for the history and the background. Now, how does the 419 Ale Trail fit into the city of Perrysburg?
Well, Inside the Five is a super popular restaurant/brewery. Really cool history here. It was started by two former NFL players. They went to college and moved on to the pros. And then after they retired from the NFL, they came back to the area, which is always a wonderful story. And they started a business. One of the gentlemen, Brandon Fields, he actually received a beer making kit from his wife, I believe for Christmas, and started puttering around, and he found his passion. And so he opened the first Inside the Five in Sylvania. And it became a hit. The food is fabulous. The beer is wonderful. And it's always packed. And the second location is in Perrysburg, and it's bigger and I think even more crowded because there's a lot more space. There's a wonderful outside area too. But again, it's just super popular because they have a great product. Then last year they opened the Field House on the property near University of Toledo. So now they have 3 locations. That's where they brew the beer. So that's their production facility. They also have a tap room there. It's perfect for students to go over. They have an outside place where they can play cornhole, tons of games. So it's great. Right now, they are on the Christmas Ale Adventure, and they have a really creative beer. They come up with these wonderful names, and this one is Cranma Got Run Over by a Rain Beer.
I love it.
And of course, the cran, you can imagine there's cranberry. They all use the seasonal spices in their beers. All the breweries do. But I can't wait to try that one. I have not, but that one sounds really good. And it's just become a crown jewel of downtown Perrysburg.
Absolutely. I know every time I go there to Inside the Five, it is packed.
Always.
Very popular place.
It is. It goes to show when you put out a good product, you're going to get people. You're going to get regulars. The word's going to get out. And that's what it's become. It's just become a really destination restaurant brewery.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So Perrysburg is part of this Christmas Ale Adventure.
And it's just one of the most popular breweries on the trail, period. It's centrally located. Most of the breweries are in Toledo and the suburbs. When you'll find that when you look at the mobile pass. And don't forget to scroll down if you haven't signed up. When you pull up 419altrail.com, the first thing you'll see is information about the Christmas Ale Adventure. But keep scrolling and you'll see the link where to sign up. It takes not even 2 minutes to sign up. Just name your name, address, and your phone number. Everything will be sent right to your phone, and you can get going from there. You can save the icon right onto your home screen, and you'll have it right at your fingertips.
Yep, just like me.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got to get started on my 419 Ale Trail Christmas Ale Adventure here because I'm not even on the board yet. I need to do that. I want the sticker.
I'm on the board. Ernest Brew Works has quite a few holiday beers. Some breweries just love them and they want to try a bunch of different ones. But you'll find some breweries have one, some have two, some will have a seltzer. So you'll have to check it out and see what they've got, what looks good to you.
Absolutely. As this comes out on December 20th of 2024, right before the holidays, is there anything you'd like to share about why you guys ended up pushing out the Christmas Ale Adventure? Like, why have a Christmas theme?
Well, I think because people really love seasonal beers. So breweries always have their flagship beers that you can always get. So what's human nature like? You want what you can't always get. So I know one brewery that does a pumpkin beer and people just can't wait for that to come out. So people love those seasonal beers. They crave them. They know they can only get them in this certain window of time. So it just builds that anticipation. So we roll this initiative out and people just get excited about it. Plus, you're entertaining family and friends. People are coming to visit this time of year. Actually, the number one reason people come to this area, Toledo and in the region, is to visit family and friends. And what better time than the holidays? So it's something really cool you can do. Bring some family members out, some friends, and say, hey, let's go hit a couple of breweries and try out some ales and, grab a bite to eat. It's a great way to sit and chat and relax and reconnect.
Yeah, it's a celebration of the season, right?
Exactly.
But then also gives everybody an excuse to gather around and maybe try something new.
That's exactly right.
Cathy, thank you so much for the history, the background, the telling me all about what's on this Christmas Ale Adventure. This has been wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share as we wrap this up?
So Destination Toledo spearheaded the 419 Ale Trail. It is one of our products. We also are the Coffee Quest people now. Our job as a DMO, which is a destination marketing organization, is that we bring people to the area. We bring people in for visitation. We bring them in for conventions, sports tournaments, meetings, you name it. So we're an economic driver for Toledo and the surrounding area. Our website has a lot of information on what to do in the area, restaurants, and we're a big event hub too. If you want to know what's going on, go to visittoledo.org. It's not just for visitors. Locals utilize all of our services as well, because everybody wants to know what's going on in the area, right? What new restaurants are going on. You'll find that information on our social channels. And Kim, that'd be great if you could put that up on your podcast when we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put links to your social media channels in the show notes on perrysburgpodcast.com. You got it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Cathy, thank you so much for everything you do there at Destination Toledo. Thanks for being here on the Perrysburg Podcast. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You too, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks again to Cathy Miller for being my guest and for talking about the Christmas Ale Adventure and the 419 Ale Trail. That was a fun conversation. I looked up some of the Christmas ales on the 419aletrail.com website, and I found some really uniquely named drinks. I just have to share these with you from the website, and then we'll move on. 1820 Brew Works in Toledo, Ohio, has the Drei König Holiday Ale, which includes cinnamon, nutmeg, and sweet orange peel to represent the three kings or the three wise men from the Christmas story in the Bible. In German, drei is the number 3, and König is a king. So put those together, and we've got the Three King Holiday Ale, or Drei König Holiday Ale at 1820 Brew Works. Sounds like a winner. Brewing Green in Bowling Green has the Nakatomi Holiday Party, which is a Christmas ale that is packed with cinnamon and ginger with sweetness from the honey malt in the ale. Love that. Nakatomi, like as in Die Hard. Love it. And the last brewery that I'll talk about is Ernest Brew Works in Toledo. They have the O Tannenbaum, The Spice is Right, and a few others. O Tannenbaum, of course, is O Christmas Tree in German. I love these German names. That's why I'm picking them. All right, I'll stop there, although I would love to read all the Christmas ales to you because I'm kind of nerdy like that, and they have fun names. Visit 419aletrail.com to learn more about the breweries and the Christmas ales. Again, that website is 419aletrail.com. If you're driving and you don't have the ability to write that down or check it out right now, I'll have that link in the show notes on perrysburgpodcast.com. Now let's turn our attention to the last segment of this episode. It's my conversation with Deputy Chief Chris Sargent from the City of Perrysburg's Police Division. First, he's got some ideas for thinking ahead about your night out on the town and getting home safely. And then some advice on what to do if you spot an impaired driver. Here's my conversation with Chris Sargent. Chris, I am not a police officer, just a citizen, but I try to prepare for when I'm going out and I know I'm going to be drinking. I have a 19-year-old son, and we jokingly say that he is our designated driver. I know that's one way to stay safe. So what are some other best practices for preparing for a night out? We all want to enjoy ourselves. How can we think ahead?
And we, as a police division, want you to go out and enjoy yourself, too. And that's great that you have that built-in designated driver. And that's what I really like to start with is that having a designated driver when you know you're going out and you might be consuming some adult beverages. But when I talk about a designated driver, one thing I would like to stress is what I would call a true designated driver. I can tell you over the years, I've arrested many drivers for OVI who were the designated driver, but they only had maybe a few, or they were and I'm quoting here, the least drunk of the other passengers in the car. So they were the driver. So that's not a designated driver. You know, somebody that is drinking water or drinking pop, whatever it might be, truly somebody that has no alcohol in their system, that's who you want as your designated driver. The other thing I've seen time and time again is, and this is jumping ahead to post-arrest and releasing somebody back to a safe driver, and the ride they call was somebody that was maybe also at the establishment with them or had been consuming at their house, and they show up to pick this person up who we've arrested and we are now subsequently releasing, and then they get arrested for driving to the police station while impaired. I've seen that more times than I can count. So when I talk about a designated driver, a true designated driver, take turns. You're fortunate enough you have your 19-year-old son to drive you around. If it's just you and your husband, maybe you're going to have a couple drinks and he's not going to. Or maybe it's his turn, so he's going to have a couple drinks and you're going to be the safe driver. That's what we're looking for. Have a plan. Where are we going, and what are we going to do to get home safe and to make sure everybody else is safe? Some of the other options that are out there when we talk about safe celebrating and getting home, there's all the ride-sharing apps out there, Uber or Lyft, ride-sharing alternatives in order to get home safely. Does it cost you $20? Maybe, but that's a lot less expensive when you talk about the average cost of an OVI, which can increase easily to $10,000 or more on average when you start factoring in things like your tow, your tickets, your 3-day intervention program, if the judge allows you to do that versus the mandatory 3 days in jail, the driver reinstatement fees, your insurance fees that will go up, all of those probation fees, having transportation to get back and forth to work when you don't have your license anymore or relying on somebody else. All of these factors play into the cost of an OVI. So what's $20 or $30 for an Uber or a Lyft versus the cost of not having your driver's license? But some other options too. If you're not interested in an Uber, stay the night if you're somewhere. If you're at a friend's house, I'm sure they won't mind if you were to say, Kim, I'm too impaired to drive home. Can I crash on your couch? And I'm sure most friends and family are going to say, not a problem. Here's a blanket. Hotels, if there's a hotel nearby that you can safely get to, stay at a hotel. Old-fashioned taxis are still around. You can call taxi companies and they will come pick you up. Again, you pay a little bit for it. Money well spent. Walk if you can. And I'd like to say that very carefully because depending on your level of impairment, we don't want you walking down the street if you can't take care of yourself. But if you maybe had a few cocktails and you know driving isn't a good option, but you live just around the corner and you can safely walk home, that's an option. And then there's also a few options if you live in a larger metropolitan area, or maybe somebody from Perrysburg is heading to a larger city. Some options we don't have here necessarily, but are available as an alternative are public transportation. A lot of cities have very robust trains and bus systems and options like that to get around. There are safe ride programs. A good example of that is BGSU has Ziggy Zooms. So if you're down on campus, you can call Ziggy Zooms. They will come and pick you up, no charge, take you where you need to go. And finally, one thing we don't have here, but you might, depending on where you're celebrating, is hiring a drive your own car service, meaning they will drive your car with you and your friends to where you're going and take you back home. So those are some options that we like to think of when discussing, well, how can I go out, have fun, celebrate the holidays, but do it safely?
I'm curious about the hiring a driver kind of thing. What kind of service is that? Do you know the name of one?
Not off the top of my head, but I know they're available in these larger cities. So if somebody's going to maybe Chicago or New York, they have these options where you hire this person and you're in your car, because some people don't want to be in an Uber or a Lyft. It grosses them out, you know, the germs or what have you. I haven't done it, but it's an option.
Oh, that's really cool. I know that in other cities, the tipsy tow is an option. I don't know if any of the towing companies do it around here, but when I say tipsy tow, what does that mean to you?
To me, it reminds me of tow companies that are willing to come get you in your vehicle from wherever you're at and get you home safely. And typically, from what I understand, they don't charge either.
I've heard that some AAAs will do that. So do your own research, listeners, but I have heard that that is an option. Or I wouldn't mind paying a tow truck. I'd rather pay for the tow truck than have, some sort of negative consequences happen and then have to do the tow after, in addition to whatever mess that I may have caused.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I feel that a little bit of planning up front or a little bit of cost or inconvenience up front, like in your example of calling a tow truck, is well worth it compared to what would be on the other side.
Thank you. And one other option that I don't think I heard you mention was if you don't plan ahead and you end up drunk at the place, the bar, the party, wherever it is, you can always call your mom and dad, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And as well as I do, mom and dad will get out of bed and they will come get you and maybe scold you in the morning, even if you are a grown adult, but it's well worth it.
Yes, sir. I know that I have had to have my husband take me home back in the day when I was a little less responsible. So it doesn't have to be mom and dad. You could call your teenage son or your siblings or whoever will pick up the phone. Because I don't know about you, Chris, but my phone goes into sleep mode at 10 o'clock because I'm old and I like to go to bed early. But yeah, whoever will pick up the phone, you can call them, right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting when I think back to all the times I've arrested somebody for driving under the influence. And then we sit there, we go through the process, and 99% of the time, we have paperwork to do at the station. We have to process them. We go through everything we have to go through, but there's generally not a requirement that we then take you to the Wood County Jail and book you in. There are some circumstances where that happens, but that's generally not what we're looking to do. We want to get you processed, get you home. Here's your court date. We'll see you, in a few days type of response. But generally then when we're calling to find you a ride, to come to the station to pick you up, somebody always answers and somebody will come. So that phone call could have been made an hour or 2 hours before that and avoided all of it.
Chris, I think we've got some great ideas out there about having designated drivers or best practices for preventing DUIs or OVIs, I think you called them.
I did call it, yeah, OVI.
All right, I learned a new term today. So let's talk about what if we are the designated driver, like we're not police officers. People like me are out there driving, or you back in the day when you were a patrol person. What if you spot somebody who you think is an impaired driver and you're concerned because you just don't want anybody to get hurt? Is there a phone number you call or what do you do?
The recommendation would be to call 911. That's the quickest way to get to the dispatcher and for the dispatcher to get that information to the women and men out there driving, patrolling the streets of whatever community you're in at that time. And they're going to ask you a few questions. Where are you? What direction are you going? What's the description of the vehicle? And what are they doing? So for you to be on the other end of the phone and you can say, well, I'm northbound on Louisiana at Indiana, and I'm behind a white Ford pickup truck, and they're swerving all over the road, and they're not stopping when they should be stopping. Those type of details. We're now turning west on Indiana, and for you to stay on the phone and to give those updates to the dispatcher, for us to then have it out on the street to get to where you are so we can observe those violations, make a stop on the vehicle, investigate, see if it is an OVI-related issue. Maybe it's a medical concern. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe it's the distracted driving. Whatever the concern, we can investigate it and move forward. But just don't ever feel like, oh, I don't want to call 911. No, please, call 911. Let us know what's going on. We're never going to be mad at you for calling if it turns out not to be an impaired driver. We'd rather be safe than sorry.
You make a good point. Police officers are out there to help us all be safe. So I think that if you're concerned enough to have that thought, I think it's okay to call 911. Now, as a pharmacist, I have called 911 many times for, many reasons. patients have had medical issues in front of me, or there's been fake prescriptions or whatever. And I know my first time calling 911, I didn't know what I was supposed to say. So I like that you just talked about the words. You gave us the words to use. This is what I'm seeing. This is where I am. So I think that kind of is a good segue to go from never calling 911 to now having the words to call if sometime you need to do that. Thank you for empowering my listeners. Chris, I'm a mom, and I worry about things that I see. Sometimes I know that when my son was learning how to drive, I would follow him, to make sure that he got where he was going okay. Especially on that first icy day, I was going someplace similar. I just had to maybe turn into the library, but he was headed to the bank, and I just wanted to make sure he got to the bank okay. So I followed him. What would you say about the person who reports this concern about a drunk driver after they've got the 911 call? What is their responsibility at that point?
They've done their part in calling and notifying us, and for that, we're very appreciative. But we never want somebody to put themselves or anybody in their car in any type of safety concern. If it's safe enough that you can follow the vehicle down the road and continue to give updates to the dispatcher who you're talking to, the 911 operator, until the police catch up to you and are able to intervene, then that's okay too. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it's not safe, or you have a time crunch that you're in the middle of something, whatever it might be, everybody has their own stuff going on, I guess is what I'm saying. Just give us everything you can, and only follow that vehicle as long as you can safely do so and feel comfortable doing so.
I think setting that boundary is important because sometimes people don't know when the job is done. You know what I mean? Just like with my son, I would be concerned about making sure that person got some help. But at the same time, I got my own stuff to do. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's almost like a permission thing, like understanding boundaries and getting that permission to just, it's okay to move on with your life. You have reported it. Thank you.
And you calling and giving us information and maybe having to turn off the road to go a different direction is so much better than not calling at all. So we appreciate that phone call.
Thanks again to Deputy Chief Chris Sargent for the tips about getting home safely and calling 911 to report impaired drivers. Great advice. That conversation was actually a preview for a much longer conversation, which will be next week's episode about drunk driving in Perrysburg. How big of a problem is drunk driving here? What are the consequences? And some personal stories from Chris's 20-year career in law enforcement. You'll want to hear episode 75 next week on December 27th. That does it for episode 74 of the Perrysburg Podcast. We talked about bars in Perrysburg first, then you heard about the Christmas Ale Adventure and Inside the Five from Destination Toledo's Cathy Miller. And finally, you heard Deputy Chief Chris Sargent's tips for getting home safely after a night out and helping your fellow motorists if you spot an impaired driver. Thanks for joining me for episode 74 of the Perrysburg Podcast. Visit perrysburgpodcast.com to read the show notes. In the show notes today, you will find links to the bars and breweries that were mentioned, Destination Toledo's website and social media links, and the other 5 episodes in the Food and Drink series here on the Perrysburg Podcast. Part 1 was about ice cream shops. It seems like so long ago, but I think that was in July. Part 2 was about coffee. Part 3 was about restaurants. Part 4 was about butcher shops. And Part 5 was about bakeries and dessert destinations. I will finish the series with miscellaneous food and drink topics next month in January. We'll be talking about Pampered Chef, Tastefully Simple, catering businesses, and more. If you would like to be notified by email about each new episode of the Perrysburg Podcast, sign up for the newsletter on perrysburgpodcast.com. I'll email you every week. You can also get out your smartphone right now and subscribe to or follow the Perrysburg Podcast on your favorite podcast player and YouTube to get each new episode right when it comes out. Please share this episode with anyone you know who either needs a smoothie or an adult beverage here in Perrysburg. Merry Christmas if you are listening to this in December, and thank you so much for listening today. I will talk to you next week.